Hello there, folks. My name is Spooks, and welcome back to another episode of Box Office Chat. This is the show where I break down the top 5 domestic box office results, see where each movie landed, and see how well each movie did. So let's get started. Number 5 is F9, The Fast Saga, making $4.8 million this weekend, adding to a domestic total of $163 million and a worldwide total of $622 million. So this film now officially is the highest grossing film of the year domestically. Worldwide it's at number 3. But even so, that is still such an incredible achievement. The fact that this was able to top Quiet Place Part 2 and get to the number 1 spot quicker than Black Widow is surely surprising and just really incredible for this film. And to add on the fact that the film made $600 million worldwide while in the midst of a pandemic is incredible, to say the least. And even though the film is pretty much capped out, it's already at number 5, and due to the very crowded weekend that is upon us, I guarantee it will be knocked out next weekend off the top 5. But this was still, much like Quiet Place Part 2, a fantastic run at the domestic box office. It certainly had its ups and downs, but ultimately it's a blockbuster for sure. It's a glorified success, and I'm pretty sure that even though it could have done better given the circumstances that we are in, and I think that many of the folks wish it did better, they're still pretty satisfied with how well the film did regardless. So once again, congratulations. This film is a major hit. Number 4 was Space Jam: A New Legacy, which made $9.5 million this weekend, adding to a domestic total of $51 million and a worldwide gross of $93 million. So positives out of the way first. First off, this film has already surpassed lots of its major former competition, that being family films like Peter Rabbit 2, Tom and Jerry, Boss Baby, and I definitely think it'll surpass Raya and the Last Dragon very soon, and I think it even has a chance at surpassing Conjuring 3 as well. And the film was also able to get to $50 million domestic, which is very good. And it's already at $7 million away from $100 million worldwide, which is very impressive. But we cannot deny that this is a very disappointing second weekend. This just further adds to my case of these huge blockbusters opening very well, very strongly, mind you, and just blowing the doors off everyone. And then that second week comes, and then they just start to plummet, and it once again starting to look like the norm. But I think the biggest reason why this is becoming such like a news story, well, apart from it being the biggest second week drop off post pandemic, is that it's a family film. And family films post pandemic have been juggernauts in terms of second week drop offs. Of course, The Croods and Raya were the biggest movies ever when they originally came out due to how strong their holds were. But even some of the lesser films outside of Spirit Untamed, like Peter Rabbit 2, Tom and Jerry, and even The Boss Baby, were all doing very well in terms of their second week drop offs. They dipped like around 50 to even less than 40%, which is very good, especially during the times we are now. So I think that a lot of people, including myself, thought since it is a family film, it was going to just continuing the trend of just having these short drop-offs, but clearly that was not the case here. Not to mention that the film also has a reported budget of $150 million, and it's barely made $100 million worldwide, so it's definitely got a lot of catching up to do. It's still a little bit early to determine if it's really a failure. Like I said, this is following a trend, and the last movie we talked about, F9, had also a nearly 70% drop off, and that was able to rebound and continue to have better holds with each and every week. So we'll see if it can rebound. Maybe once again it's like following a trend, and this is just a fluke. But for right now, it's definitely got a lot of catching up to do. Number 3 was Black Widow, which made $11.6 million this weekend, bringing its domestic total to $154 million and its worldwide total to $314 million. So for starters, much better hold than last weekend. That's a good sign that even though it dipped a lot, it still has an audience that's encouraging to go see the film in theaters, which is very good, and it's basically about to become the second highest grossing film domestically. It will surpass Quiet Place Part 2 in the coming days. But the interesting thing is, this film is only $9 million behind F9's domestic total for the highest grossing film of the year so far. So it looks like it will definitely get there, but I definitely think it's going to be taking a very long time to get there. This is honestly very surprising. I thought this would have happened quicker, and I suppose that a lot of people did. So we're definitely going to have to play the waiting game here. And another thing to mention is that while it's not doing bad, I definitely think that this will be the first MCU movie in a while that will probably not get to 200 million domestically. I know anything is possible. Some films have just blown the doors out the water, but with how it's significantly decreasing, even though this weekend was not bad, and how Disney has already announced a video on demand DVD Blu-ray release date for this film, I think it's definitely not gonna get there. It's probably gonna get close, but not there. And this is also coming from the guy who thinks it could get to 400 million worldwide, because it still hasn't released in China yet, so that's still a possibility. But for right now, even if it doesn't reach 200 million, I still think this is not a bad performance at all, really. It's one of the biggest movies of the year so far, and I'm sure Disney is happy with how it's turning out, even though it could have done a lot better. This is basically like F9, where it could have done better, but I think for the most part, pretty much everyone is satisfied with how it's doing. Number 2 is Snake Eyes, G.I. Joe Origins, which made $13 million on its opening weekend domestically and is sitting at $17 million worldwide. So yeah, not the best opening weekend, especially when you're not only trying to start up a new franchise, when you're basically trying to bring back an old franchise into the public zeitgeist. These are numbers you definitely do not want to see, especially since this is coming from Paramount, who just crushed it at the box office with A Quiet Place Part 2. This is not the best, especially considering that the film costs a whopping $88 million. This is going to need a lot in order to reach those numbers. And the sad thing is that I can't really say I'm surprised, because I really wasn't expecting a whole lot with this movie. The marketing, while very much prominent throughout these few months they were promoting it, I didn't really see all that much hype for it. No one I knew personally was really anticipating or talking about this movie, and the fact that the reviews weren't all that great was also an indicator. So yeah, I don't know what else to say. We'll see how it does throughout the rest of its theatrical release, but right now it's not looking so hot for G.I. Joe. And finally, let's end the video off with the number 1 movie of the weekend, and that is Old, which made $16 million on its opening weekend domestically and is sitting at $23 million worldwide. So this film exceeded a lot of people's expectations. I honestly thought it was going to get to 20 million, but hey, that's on me. But I'm still pretty happy, and I'm pretty sure Universal is pretty happy with this opening weekend, considering that the film only costed 18 million to make, and it's already made the majority of that thanks to the worldwide total, and also mostly a lot of the domestic total as well. So once again, like many of the horror films, even if it doesn't open huge, it's still gonna profit because it's a relatively cheap movie. And despite the fact that reviews weren't all that kind to this film, they were pretty mixed. I think that the concept of the film really intrigued horror fans, and the fact that it was another M. Night Shyamalan film definitely helped the movie out a lot and encouraged a lot of people to go see it. So this is one that I'm very interested in seeing how it turns out, because this is definitely like the first original film to top the box office in a while. And considering that there are so many blockbusters, not only that are currently playing, but are on the horizon, I'm definitely seeing how this movie faces off them. Well, while this will definitely not be anywhere near as big as Quiet Place Part 2, I'm curious to see if this film will play out like something like The Conjuring, The Devil Made Me Do It, even though I think it's probably not yet to those levels, but I'm definitely hoping that it can match its drops at the very least, or maybe like word of mouth is strong and the movie has very strong holds with each weekend. So yeah, I definitely think this is something to keep your eyes on, especially since it's not only an original film, but the fact that it was able to top all these blockbusters this weekend is pretty impressive. And even regardless of what I'm saying right now, it's going to be a hit. It's like 13 million away from the doubling point worldwide alone, which is incredible. And I'm very curious to see how it plays out for the rest of its theatrical release. So yeah, good on you, M. Night. And those were the top 5 domestic box office results for this weekend, but we're not quite done yet as we've got another week ahead of us and new movies hitting theaters. And this weekend we've got 3, and the first one being The Green Knight. This is the latest film from David Lowery. It's been getting a lot of critical acclaim, some people calling it the best movie of the year. And while I haven't seen a whole lot of marketing for it, it's definitely got a lot of buzz. Lots of people I know are very interested and excited about this movie, so it'll be interesting to see how well this movie does at the box office. And then there's Stillwater, the latest drama starring Matt Damon. Now, this film has also been getting critical acclaim, not to the extent of The Green Knight, but people are liking it. But unlike The Green Knight, where I know a lot of people, I don't really see the hype with this movie. Not a lot of people I know are talking about it, or getting excited about it. And, well, like The Green Knight, I haven't seen a whole lot of advertising. It's not that it's non existent, it's just spread out here and there every once in a while, so we'll see how it does. And then lastly, there is Jungle Cruise, the latest Disney blockbuster hitting theaters. Now, Disney has been advertising this movie like crazy, and as well as The Rock and Emily Blunt, they have been promoting this movie like crazy, really encouraging people to go. And if I'm being honest, I don't really see this being a huge blockbuster, but I definitely see it opening in that Conjuring 3 Space Jam opening weekend range. 24 to 30 million is a safe bet. It's not going to open huge, but it's not going to be like disastrous. Well, it might be disastrous considering it's a Disney movie and they have huge budgets. But like in terms of the pandemic opening weekends, it's probably going to be fine. This is also reportedly going to be the last film to do the theatrical hybrid release where you can either see it at the theater or pay to watch it on Disney Plus for $30. Thank God. So we'll see how that affects this movie, but we'll truly see how well this movie, as well as the rest of the movies hitting theaters, do on the next episode of Box Office Chat. And that's going to do it for this week's episode of Box Office Chat. What did you guys think of the results? Were you satisfied, unsatisfied? Comment down below and let me know. If you like this video, hit the like button. If you like this channel, hit that subscribe button. Follow me on all of the social media links right there. And until next time, guys, stay sharp.